And my microphone was muted, so that was great. I was wondering why that was all a little dim. Okay. That was a rocky start. I really gotta streamline that. Alright. So, two things. I wanna have a quick look at this. So this is in the SudokuPad server. And I want to see why this particular link isn't working the way I think it should work. So this should be under link server. Link server here. And this should be the CTC legacy stuff here. Okay, so let's start it up locally so we can test it. Go. Microphone, I can't see anything. I wonder if I have to get the blackout blinds again if I start streaming in the mornings. It's kind of dark. I mean, not dark, the opposite of dark, bright. So, this should now be under 55080. So we have this one. Ooh, my nose itching. I'm gonna have to sneeze. Maybe, maybe not. No, I definitely am gonna have to sneeze. Alright. So it does work locally, it doesn't work live. That is odd. Alright. Let's have a look at the live server then. So I'm guessing this would be that one. Man, I'm running too much stuff on this one poor server. It is coming through here. Why is it not resolving? $502. That's a bit strange. What about one of these other ones? That one works. So this one specifically is not returning. But it is returning on the local test bed. Yeah, that's the remote one, right? But it is returning on the local test version. The hell? And I'm not seeing anything here. This is gonna be a very big pain in the butt to debug if it works locally and doesn't work remotely. Okay, let's have a quick look at what CTC Legacy does. It checks if it's a valid puzzle ID. If it's a valid F puzzle ID. If not, it runs fetch as CTC Legacy, which pulls it from either from fire storage Wait a second. Pulls it from fire storage. Let me just see what's happening with this ID here. Actually, I'm gonna do... Yeah, that's now special encoding. if I... Nope. If I do this... So I'm gonna do this off screen quickly. Okay. So that works. It should not be on the screen. So the data is there. But somehow we are failing to manage to fetch it. Second, let me make sure I have the chat up visible. So, when that comes through, where do we get the 502 error then? And why does it not? Well, we don't have a local cache over here, do we? That's probably what we actually need to do. Oop, it's not a folder. Well, I guess it does. The whole point of this is not to do a local cache, since this is supposed to be a straight path through to the legacy one. But it doesn't explain why it's struggling with this particular ID and not any of the others. Do we have a bad cache here? What the heck? There's no error here. There's no caching involved here. I don't think the fpuzzles check should do anything bad. This is bizarre. I think I'm going to leave that for now, because I need to modify the live server and run testing there, because obviously my local version doesn't exhibit this problem, and it definitely doesn't return a 502 error. It just works fine. So it's something that's only happening on the server. In fact, what I might do is actually create a second. I need to, yeah, maybe I create a second copy of link server running on a different domain names that I can test with. In fact, I should do that with all of them. I'm actually going to put that into my tasks. Create test. Create staging. Create staging version of link server at, I don't know, or something. Yeah, that's fine. Or staging.link, or whatever. I mean, I'll figure it out. All right. Inconclusive. Let's take that off for now. Let's have a quick look at the dialog. So we know that if I open a puzzle, and let me just do that over here for a second. Local host 5000. Let's see if there's a puzzle we can play quickly. So we'll have a solved puzzle that we can then revisit, and it's just an excuse to play more puzzles. And the quickest way of getting a puzzle to solve that I know of is my little bookmarklet here. This is the one with the error. Okay, no, it's fine. All right, let's solve this quickly. It should be a really easy one. These are generally quite easy. And we'll just do standard Snyder stuff. Up, down, left, right. Oop. Let's get the large digits going here. Nope. 4. Nope. Alright, 5s. Let's just do all the easy ones quickly. Less little speed solve. I think the only reason I'm getting better is because I need to test so much and I need to test quickly. 7, 8, so this would be 2 and 5. Can we resolve any of those? 7 or 8? Yep, that's an 8, that's a 7. Have we done 6s yet? Not all of them. 2s. More 2s, more 6s. 6 here. Here. 7s. Here and here and here and somewhere there. 8s. 8 in one of these two. 9s here. Swish, swish, swoosh. Right, we got only 2 digits left here. That's a 3 and a 5. I thought. It's a 5 here, and that would be a 4. 3 goes here. 3, 8, 9, 7, and 5. Oh, that's a single. Make it single. 5 and 9. Then we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 8 and 9. These quickly. 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5. Oh, I'm missing only 3 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Here we have 1, 2, and 8. Get 1, get 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 8, 2, 5. That's all over the place. These 3 are 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. No 3s here, so that makes a 3, 1, and 6. That 6 gets us a 6 and 7 here. 7 gets us a 7 here. We're done with 6s now. Yep. 1s we need. That gets us a 1 here. 2s. 2s. Not really worth marking that at this stage. 5 and 8. And that one can be an 8, so the 8's there. Brings us a 2 here, 5, 3, and 8 over here. No 8 here, no 5s. 3, 2, 8. And we're done with those. This is the 1s here, and we had a 3, so that's the 3. Alright. Done with the 3s, done with the 2s. Sorry, done with the 1s. We have 2 here, 2 here, 3s. We said we've done those already. This is a 4 and 5. 5 and 4 and 5 and 4, 5, 4, 2, and 5. So we have the looks good to me here. Now let's get this into SudokuPad as well. Oh, actually that's not what I meant. We have SudokuPad here. Yeah, we have SudokuPad here. So let's just get this imported. Right. So we have it in SudokuPad. We have it here. Now in SudokuPad, solved puzzles can get blurred. Why am I not getting? Ooh, what's this? Let's close these for a sec. In puzzle listing, on line 119. I haven't actually updated SudokuPad in a while, so I better be careful what's going on here. Let's make sure we know what we're looking. Did I just? Yeah. Let's not shut down the link server. 1 second. I need to get out of screen without Control A and then Control D. A, D. Control A, Control D. There we go. Let's make sure link server is still running. Yep, it's still running. Can close this, close this. We can stop running. Ah, we're in SudokuPad. All right. Oh. Yeah, we're in the middle of working on the backup thing. Ugh. I haven't touched it in a few weeks, so this is not good. All right. I need to clean these up and save that. So this might be either something I've introduced. Missing an it's this. This should not be broken, but I think, didn't I fix something here where there was a problem with the timer showing, not rounding correctly? We have this, and we have this. This looks correct to me. If MS is undefined, it just returns MS. Missing in template expression. Huh? Sometimes what happens is, wait, 1 open, 2 open, 1 close, 2 close, 3 close. How the hell did that happen? How the hell did that happen? Is that a commit that I've done? Oh wow, yeah, that was the fix to the thing that I haven't apparently not finished, and I actually broke it here, and I haven't noticed it since. Wow, I have not tested this well. So what did I do here? Let's just have a look at this. Wait, that's my stream. Where am I? There we go. Let me just post this here as well. I should be able to just paste that here, right? How these things work. All right. I can do this. I should be notified. So I modded this by 6. I converted this to fixed, but I didn't make sure I modulus this by 60. Excuse me. So we'll just fix that then. I already had 2 braces there. So why did I add another one? So this one is where we're flooring it, and then we're modulusing it by 60. That's really the only change we needed. And now it works. Okay. Can we submit this as a separate change? Fix bug in time formatting. All right. So what I'm looking for is the blur effect, right? So we have blur solution on, and we get this effect. Now this happens inside our thumbnail code. So let's have a look at the thumbnailer. And actually let's just look for blur. So blur completed, blur completed, blur values. Blur values ups to blur puzzle to SVG. Blur values. So it does this. Okay. That doesn't sound too complicated. So let's take a note of this. This is our little I should really get like a what's the word? A clipboard tool. That's it. All right. So what would it look like? So the idea, this is finished, right? Now, if I refresh it, it should pop this up. Now, the idea was to notify a player that they've already completed the puzzle in case they did it a long time ago, so they don't spoil the puzzle for themselves if they want to play it again. Right? So let's have a look what that looks like. And where that comes from, etc. Right? So, looks good to me, timer stopped. Let's trace back from that. I'm going to search in here now. Let's find yay. Right, so this dialogue comes from where? .407. 4074. So we literally do it in start. We say if app.puzzle is completed, show puzzle correct dialog. Okay. All right. So we'll show puzzle correct dialog. Enter overboard. Now, in theory, we should be able to find any higher level thing, right? No, actually we need cell values. So that's, well, no, that's not here. It's in the app, in the game, in the board, in the grid, inside the SVG, and we have cell values. And then if I say filter Euro hash blur. So this is obviously not going to work because we need to actually create the filter. So I've been taking it a little too easy. No, thumbnail. It's this one. Gaussian blur, filter ID, Gaussian blur. Okay. But doesn't mean we need to actually use a reference, right? So CSS filter blur. We could probably just do it inline. So yeah, okay. So we can just do filter blur. Ah, but can we do FE Gaussian blur? Yeah, it's an SVG thing. Okay, I see. What if we just do the regular blur? Is that gonna kick us in the butt? So if I do blur for px like that, that also works. Okay. So CSS blur px. Are these the same thing? Because I know one of them has very bad performance. Not really a big problem in this case, where it's like a one-off, where we're not blurring like 80 different tiny elements, you know? A second, let me just get this icon out. I would like to be notified. Assumption, yeah, okay, that's terrible. Blur is by nature version result. It needs to be blended with the background. Completely transparent background. This means no color at all in any background layer. No realistic scenario. No partial transparent object top of the animated object if it's not needed. The object, restrict the blur filter region to the object area. Yeah, that doesn't compare the CSS blur with, here we go. Maybe that'll do the trick. Let's see what it says. Let me know if things are too small. I tend to have things a bit smaller because of the 4K resolution, but on the stream, obviously, I want to have them bigger. They are different. I'm more interested in the performance difference. I mean, in this case, maybe I'll use the CSS blur simply because it's easier for me to set up. Performance. That probably depends on the rendering engine, so it depends on how the browser's optimized, I guess. Oh, and we have a canvas blur as well. All right, let's just use the CSS blur for now. So the idea would be if we do something like this. Now the question is, can I apply it using CSS when there's an overlay? Probably not, unless I add an overlay thing to the root. So let's say this, I don't know, is this text too small for you guys? Can I adjust font size in Sublime? Sublime sidebar font. I think I've deliberately made it really small to make it really narrow. But I think I did that myself, yeah. So this would be edit, no, preferences, customize, color scheme, and sidebar. Okay, sudo. I did my own, I had my own custom theme there. Customize color theme, select color scheme, customize theme. Because I actually the styling of this I think is all custom to what I did a long time ago, which I really don't remember now. And this vertical scroll bar, customize color scheme, customize, Sublime, customize. I think my ADHD is kicking in because I'm like 3 levels away from what I'm trying to do. All right, yeah. Let's get back on track. Sorry about that. Holy crap! I took you on a journey there. Yeah, this is not the file we want to look at. We want to look at framework. Yeah, these new glasses are terrible. I see so much worse with them. I need to do something about that. That's on my to-do list this year as well. Yeah, that's not gonna help. So, overlay. Dialog overlay. So, show dialog. Overlay element. And child overlay element. And then close dialog removes the overlay element, right? So we want to add a class to the document body while the dialog is showing. And we can either concentrate on the fact that there's an overlay, which could then be generically used by other things that might also show overlays, or we could just simply mark, hey, there's currently a framework dialog showing. Let's try the overlay right now and see how that goes. So document body append child. It sucks that in CSS there's no way for this to communicate upwards. Or is there? Basically, what I want is, if an element has a child X, then also apply this style. CSS apply style conditionally on child. Sibling child selector. Can this be done? Thing is, it's not just sibling. Only look at the ancestors and at the sibling axis. You cannot look inside what children you have, only upwards. What are my parents? And sideways, what's next to me? Yeah, because we need to look up and then sideways and then down again, sort of thing, which we cannot. Okay, so in this case, we need to do body dot and what's the syntax document dot body dot class name class list dot add. Okay, so class list dot add, and then we can just say dialog overlay, or shall I just generically overlay visible. Overlay visible. And then here we're just gonna do remove overlay visible. And then we can do something like now we don't have the setting for the blurring here. But the way I see it is the dialogue is already obfuscating the background, so there's no expectations to be able to clearly see what's behind. It is a little contradictory because when I see this, I'm kind of already checking, is everything okay, before I press OK to review. So I might have to add a setting to disable this kind of blurring at this stage, similar to the blurring on SudokuPad. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to ponder this a little bit. Yeah. That's why it would be helpful if somebody hangs out in chat. Then I can ask you guys and see what you think. Alright. Does this show a chat window here? On the stream health page. Alright. Let's see. Do we have framework styles here? No. Overlay. Dialog overlay, dialog overlay. What's the earliest dialog overlay styling here? So what if we do body dot overlay and then something like this, and the filter was just something like this, right? Don't know how that compares to a Gaussian standard deviation filter, but you know, let's start it easy. Okay, so this should have overlay visible now. Is that enough? No. A 2 is definitely not enough to obfuscate the characters. 8. 8 is enough. That's probably why I have an 8 there. Not sure, because during normal gameplay, this doesn't make a lot of sense. It does make sense, though, for the other dialogues, right? If I pause, it actually makes sense to blur this. So this kind of makes sense in that sense. Because the other option would be to say, hey, where are we? Only in this case do we blur it. We don't blur it during normal win condition, right? So if I do this, that feels strange. The other option in this case would be to, instead of doing an overlay dialogue, to actually have hurrah, you won up here with the puzzle visible. Let me think. On here, we have the review replay. So this is the one I've just added. So let's finish it here and see how it looks differently. Let's see if we can do it faster, right? We've just done it slow pokey-fied. I'm sure we can probably do it a little bit more quickly. We remember some of the things, you know, give ourselves a little unfair advantage. Don't remember anything with the 6. Remember there was the 1 8 pair here, I think. 7 goes here. 7. Nope. No advantage there. 8s. You know what? We'll have 3 here. Let's put them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. No 8 here. No 1 here. No 6 here. 9s. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. This would be... Oh, there's no 6 here. Oh, did I not see that? There we go. Give us a little bit of a... Let's start here. 6 out of there. Well, let's just do these two. 1, 2, 3, 5. 2 and 5. 2 and 5. Okay. Here. 8 here. No. No. Alright, let's start over. 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. 2, 2, 2. 2, swish, swish, 2. In my head, puzzles make sound effects. Maybe one day I'll implement them so I can share it with everybody. Everybody will hear swish, swish in their heads when they're scanning. Not just me. Oh, hey, Ranks. Well, I try not to have too many different dialogues with like too many complicated, like, oh my god, if you're in this place, or in this place, or in this place, do this. If you're this, do this. You know, I'm trying to reuse things. So right now in SudokuPad, we have the blurring of solved puzzles like this. So I was thinking something similar, because when there's an overlay, there's kind of an understanding of things not being super clear either. I could see how only blurring the cell values might not be enough for the pause screen, because you could still theorize. So maybe instead of limiting it to the values, I could just apply it to the whole thing, right? I could just do board SVG, something like that. Oh, it doesn't... Oh, because that's not an ID. Yeah. If I do this... What do you think of something like that? Would that be sufficient? I don't know which chat to look at. Now, for this case, it makes sense. But let's say if we're just finishing the puzzle, although it kind of makes sense in the sense that, like I said, the overlay already is designed to obfuscate. You know, the alternative would be just to make the overlay more opaque. right? But the idea of having the overlay being semi-transparent is to let you know where you are. You're not just completely taken out of the context. If I reduce the blur a bit, yeah, it needs to be 8, I think. Otherwise you can literally make out the digits. Yeah, it kind of has to be 8. Now it could be, I could exclude the grid. So I could do a bunch of stuff where apply it to a whole bunch of elements instead of doing it. You know, that's the whole board version. Hey, Ranks. I really need like a bell you can ring. Well, it's not so much an advantage, it's more of an aesthetic choice. And I don't have to think about, okay, where... Then I have to do a whole bunch of things, like where's the board, an extra weird visual style that I haven't used before, you know, like I'm trying to kind of keep the styling consistent and simple. So let's see, if we blur the individual elements, right? So we know we want to blur, well, we want to blur givens, values, we want to blur candidates. I wish I could make a list and then exclude. I don't know if I can do that with CSS, to be honest. Cancel marks. Pen. Givens. Overlay. Not grid. Arrows. Highlights. Don't really need to blur that. Colors. Underlay. And background. I guess background. Don't really technically need to blur that. So now the grid lines would be sharp. That's the thing, because I'm reusing the win dialog. I don't have a separate dialog for you've won previously. So obviously this doesn't make a lot of sense. And I was hoping to generically apply the blur to whenever there's an overlay. So I don't have to think about which overlay, you know? It's just, hey, there's an overlay. We're probably not, we're probably not showing what's underneath. So part of me likes that. My brain works that weird way. What if, instead of showing the show correct puzzle dialog, we have a different dialog? Show puzzle, previously solved dialog. What if I do this instead? Right? And then I'll say, instead of yay, you've already solved this, comma, feel free to replay, review, or replay. Something like that. What if I do this? Although you won't previously, it seems like there needs to be an option to restart straight from there, otherwise you still have to close and get spoiled anyways. Yeah, that's what I have here, right? I have review, replay, cancel. Now cancel doesn't make sense on the website, because on the website there is nowhere to go, right? It's the page of the puzzle. So let's have a look at what options we can add. So we could have content review or replay, right? And is a replay with a dash, or I guess so. Review, replay. So if I review, it just closes it. If I replay, and review will stay paused. Review, stay paused. Replay. Now replay, I think, is obvious enough that it'll restart the puzzle, right? What am I doing? I think that should do the trick. Replay. And it doesn't execute action here. I think it needs to be handler. No. Oh, it doesn't do this for options. I guess not. I forgot how options work. Options. 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 Handler. Handler. Handle button. I can't just do a handler per option element. That's really something I need to add. That's like such an obvious thing I should be doing. Like if the options itself has a handler. Yeah. Handler. Handler. Probably all I need to do, right? There you go. Now the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't handle auto close. That sounds like a transformer, Santa Claus transformer. Replay doesn't need a dash. Thank you. My god, that's been driving me crazy. And I think I've got it wrong in SudokuPad as well. Yeah. What happens when you do? Yeah. English as a second language. Ah. Alright. Thanks. So if I now press this... I don't know, it looks so much better suddenly. But at the time when I wrote it, it was driving me crazy. The feel free is super awkward phrasing. You already solved this. You know what? It doesn't need anything else, right? The buttons are self-explanatory. You've already solved this. Already solved this before. You've already solved this puzzle. Let's make a real sentence. Review, stay paused, replay. Now replay does that. Now I don't have auto close on here. So auto close comes like that. All right. So if I do auto close true like that, yeah. So I can't just do that because it won't respect auto close. So what I really want to do here is handle button, handle button, handle button, handle button. Where's handle button? Here we go. Right. And we go all the way down here. And we'll check on button. Now, basically what I want to see is if I can, instead of doing this here, because it obviously is managing the actions accordingly. Handle button undefined. Review, stay paused, handle button. Wait a second. Action. If action equals close and handler equals undefined. Oh. Where did this come from? Wait a second. Add down handler. If handler equals down handler. This is for the options as a whole. Oh, it kind of breaks down here, huh? Handler is undefined. Function add down event handler. So the auto close, I think the auto close is broken either way. I think I can't fix that right now because it's just broken. So if I do something like this, button test. Sorry, this is going a little bit. Yeah, that's the default action. So if I do this here, test close and test close and test handler. I mean, this framework thing I threw together pretty quickly. So test close is the same as that, and then test handler. So it doesn't respect auto close either way. Okay, so the auto so that's something probably in the future I'll review. So my previous change will actually fix this, and will basically do what as it is right now should be expected. So I can just say ops.handler or the button handler. The only thing that's not clear here is that the button handler will never fire for a options button that has its own handler attached. Yeah. Okay. Let's just clean up this. Make sure I don't leave bad things in here. Where's the extra? The overlay. Okay, that's what I added before. And now I can do this here. And this should then simply activate the replay thing, right? So where's that now? Find, restart, replay, restart puzzle, handle restart puzzle, handle option selected restart, handle restart puzzle. Can I trigger this? Restart or I think I can. So so if we do this, or literally just do this, I think that should just do the trick, right? And I can get rid of these two. Damn it. It made the button red. Why was that? Why is that not working? This should work. Do I really have to close the thing here first? Other places I do that already. Here, I guess I don't. All right. Sometimes I wonder if hiding the dialogue is generally just the right thing to do whenever I'm trying to show a dialogue. Hide dialogue is not a function. Close dialogue is the function. I don't know how I ended up with show and close instead of open, close, and hide show. I really need to clean that up sometime as well. That's got to be one of these refactor streams, right? Are you sure you want to restart? All progress will be lost. Cancel. The problem is then the cancel. Well, the cancel doesn't bring us back to that dialogue. I think that's okay. I think that's okay. The important thing is it doesn't reveal the puzzle unless you really want it to. And clicking outside is, yeah, the same as stay paused, and it unblurs it. I think the main use case is, I know it for myself, like when I'm testing and I refresh and it comes up with this, it's kind of annoying. So I think this affects mostly YouTubers who might open previous puzzles to review something, or they might refresh the page quickly or something for some reason, you know, and then in the stream it comes up like that and it's a bit disruptive. That's why I was wondering if the real solution is to actually add a setting. It's just my settings aren't organized well, so I end up with so many settings, and I don't know if that's really a good idea either. Now the question is, do I want to deliberately not blur it for some dialogues? So in other words, the background blur should really be an option for the dialogue, similar to the, you know, center on the thing and all that sort of stuff. So the question is, should it blur by default? Show that again. This? Sorry, I think my stream delay is a bit longer than it should be. So this is now what happens when you open a puzzle you've already solved. Now if I say replay, it basically is the same as if you press this button and it wants to confirm the full restart flow. Yeah, so if I do this, I click replay. Now it comes up with this dialog. Are you sure you want to restart? So in other words, avoid you accidentally pressing that and resetting your puzzles when you didn't mean to, right? So I think that's always worth a confirmation. Because if I don't do it, people will immediately complain that they lost their puzzle because they accidentally tapped twice quickly or something. Yeah, well, right now it's blurred for every dialogue. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make the blur the default and then have an option for a dialogue to not blur. So basically, I can say if not ops dot don't. How do you? It's a negative option. I hate this. What's the opposite of blur? Clear? It might flash it for a second. No. It flashes because the overlay gets like the white comes through for a second, but the blur doesn't go away in that moment. I think it's because of the animation. During the animation, the overlay doesn't show, but the styling are still there. But you cannot do a positive option that defaults to true. Ah, you mean... So you have to pass in show blur false. So if ops.blur ops.overlay blur equals false, rather than just undefined. So you'll never pass in true, you'll have to pass in false. If overlay blur is not equals to false, basically, right? So it's a positive option, overlay blur true, and it defaults to true. So I'm differentiating between undefined and false. This is basically the constructor for it, yeah. I mean, show dialogue, it just does it. Not sure what you mean by that. So that means now the place I don't want to blur it would be the win dialog, right? So here now I can say overlay blur false. So this one should still blur. Now if I finish it, yeah, here it's not blurred now. I think that makes sense. And it's okay for, I think, like the rules dialog to blur it. Although maybe unnecessary. Maybe there I want to not blur it as well. Show puzzle is incorrect dialog. What about the check dialogues? Looks good to me. Wait. If it's incorrect, yeah, it doesn't make sense to blur it on that one either. So incorrect dialog here, we also don't want to blur it. And where's the rules dialog? Find rules, rules, default rules, get rules, rules, and the rules scroll, show metinfo UI. No. Rules. Show puzzle incorrect dialog. No, where's the rules dialog? So if I do this and then check, doesn't look right, okay. If I refresh and check, yeah, so that's clear now. That's also clear. Rules. 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 I think the rules dialog isn't in this file. Let's find that quickly. Oh. Make the positive option default to true, or you can't make construct for it or something for the object. Oh, you mean like to kind of document it? I mean, it's not an object, it's just a bit of JSON, right? Yeah, but I need to. I mean, the whole thing needs. That whole thing needs overhauling. You know, it's been built very quickly as a small, simple thing, and now it's kind of slowly growing into more and more. So, on-click show rules dialog. Show rules dialog. Here we go. So this is. Damn it! I lost my blur overlay blur false. Okay, give me that. So I put that there. I can stop this one from blurring. Settings, I guess, also doesn't need to be blurred. I wonder if anybody ever uses settings to hide the puzzle. No, well, obviously not, because does it make sense? Because it obviously cares over here. If I press here and it blurs the background. No, I don't really want that either. Now I'm wondering if the blur should be a defaulting to false. Because now I'm realizing most of the time I'm not blurring. What do you think? Now I'm starting to, because I only have two. How many dialogues do I have that I want to blur? I want to blur on the restart dialog, the pause dialog, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think you're right with that. Let's switch it around. If overlay blur, and now obviously you have to undo everything. Overlay blur false. Well, I guess those would technically still work, but really we want to put that onto here. And then overlay blur false here. And then the other dialog we wanted to blur was the pause dialog. Game paused. Game paused. God knows where that one lives. But yes. And then we probably need to go back here. Get rid of that. All right. Here, overlay blur true. So there's only these two now. So that's working. This one doesn't blur now. This one doesn't blur. That one doesn't blur. That one doesn't blur. And that one blurs. I think that makes the most sense. So let's just review that quickly. So we made two changes. We added handler handling for options buttons. We added overlay blur. We're just always going to remove it, I think. I don't think we need to keep track of that setting. I think it makes sense whenever, because there can only be one dialog at a time anyways. Currently I have no support for nesting multiple calls of dialogues and winding in and out and adding in, maybe in the future. The styling, I think it's a bit, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I like the fact that the grid doesn't get blurred. But the issue I have with it is that I'm currently manually picking out elements. And if the elements ever change in the future, I'll have to update that style, or it will be very strange. It's almost like I should reverse this. I should blur everything and then deliberately not blur the grid. Should auto-close the previous one. The problem with that is there's some code where it potentially shows the same dialogue multiple times. And right now it just works correctly because it just doesn't do anything. But if I auto-clause, the same dialogue will just keep flickering and blopping and blooping, you know? So you put more responsibility on the calling code to make sure it should be called, and then suddenly it has to gate itself. It's like, oh, have I been pressed twice? Ooh, let me, you know. So right now, basically, I said, okay, if a code wants to be able to override existing dialogues, for example, one of the problems I have is in SudokuPad, if you're starting it from a link, it pops up the import dialog. But then if something else wants to pop up a dialog, it destroys that import dialog. Or even the import dialog might try to pop up multiple times, you know, things like that. I mean, I'd have to add like things like, oh, name the dialogue, put an ID in it, blah, 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 you know, but like, maybe, if I, to be honest, at that point, I'd rather overhaul the whole dialogue thing anyways. It's not powerful enough to be really generic. Like, it was built very, very quickly. It wasn't really meant to be a dialogue thing. Just like a quick way of creating HTML elements without writing HTML. But it definitely needs an overhaul. Let me try something here. Let me blur everything and then not blur the cell grids. If I do this instead of all of that, it should be a lot more future-proofed. Filter none. The problem here is now it's filtering at the higher level, even though that's not blurred, this is blurred. So if I blur all its children only, that might work. I guess not. Let me just make sure I'm on the right thing here. So this thing should not be blurred. This thing should be blurred, but cell grids should not be blurred. Why is it still blurred? Filter. It looks like it's blurred more than once. It's like a double blur. Oh, because these things are also blurred. So I want only immediate children to be blurred. Yeah, okay. So that works then, I think, because it means this thing isn't blurred. This thing is blurred. But this thing is not blurred, and its children aren't blurred either. So I think keeping the grid sharp is kind of nice. No, don't use important, man. That's gonna hurt me. Yeah, that's just gonna make your future self cry. That's man, the number I have important in here, and it's every time it hurts me. It means I screwed up on another level of things. All right, so does that solve your problem? Now we don't have a check here yet where we can disable this feature. Do we want? I mean, the other thing is, do we want to... blurring during pause, I think, is perfectly reasonable. If we throw a setting in here... where are my settings? Controls, tools, settings. I don't even know. Where do I keep settings? I know in tool select, utilities... I know in SudokuPad, they're in a nice separate file. Where are my settings? They're not under controls, are they? App menu? No. Controls app. It implements a bunch of the settings. Control tools. No. Framework. Settings. 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 Load settings. init settings. Where am I calling this? Ah, here we go. Okay. Ah, but that's just the settings defaults. Where are the settings themselves? Framework settings, cache, features. No. I don't know where the settings are. Okay, let's have a look at SudokuPad, because in SudokuPad I know it's in a separate file. I think it's inside app start, right? It's here. Add settings. Okay, so if we search for add settings, not there. App settings. Well, how did I know? But that's... Wait, app settings. Oh, okay, there's an app settings. How did I not see that? God damn it, I'm blind. Okay. Whether something should appear in the puzzle is halfway solved. The question is whether something like this should appear if the puzzle is halfway solved or something. I don't think so, because if it's halfway solved, you're just in the puzzle, right? I mean, that happens all the time, right? Like, you're pressing F5 by mistake, or you're just pausing for just close it by mistake and open it again. Because you don't have a menu like in SudokuPad, you know, I have this, continue, restart, cancel, but I don't think that makes sense on the web app. Maybe in the future, if I have something like that, I mean, if I was if I had enough patrons, I could make the web version of SudokuPad, I guess. All right, let's see. Let me actually compare this to the settings dialog in SudokuPad. Where is it? I think it's an app start, right? So I have quite a few more here, actually. Yeah, because we have the themes. What do we have? Large digits, pen tool. Where's the pen tool here? Is it because the setting... Wait a second. These are not all the settings. There's... Because here, the tools themselves add themselves to the settings dialog. Ah, it's more complicated. It's always more complicated. So, tools pen. Tools pen. Tools pen. Does this add its own setting? It does. And it does it early on during startup. It will only work for puzzle where the check function works. It works for puzzles where puzzle is completed returns true. So actually it doesn't use... basically, it does a cells, cages, and solutions check. Cells, cages, solutions. So... it's a good question. It's a good question. I hate it when you make good questions because then I have to actually answer them. Alright, where's the checker? So, our checker has 3 functions right now. It does a cells check. And as far as I know, the cells check checks... given value row column. So, what it does, it tries to figure out the top left and bottom right cell. And then... And it's actually a little dubious what those are. Because in theory, internally, it has a list of cells. It doesn't actually care where they are. So in theory, you could have a board that isn't square or rectangular, but it's a snake shape, right? I think that should be irrelevant. So basically, any cell that has a given or a value No, so for every cell that's undefined. Okay, so yeah, cell check simply checks if this has a value or a given digit. That's it, right? The cages check, I guess, is what checks rows, columns, and it checks killer cages. It checks rows and columns because those are implemented as cages, and it checks boxes. And within those, it checks, so the rows, columns, and boxes are implemented as killer cages of size 45, of sum 45. It checks for unique values within cages. So this will fail on, puzzles that have special rules with allowing duplicates in cages, which I think is not a thing. It will fail on cages that are implemented as sums, but actually call for a multiplication rule and stuff like that. So this one is a little, but most of the time this won't really be a problem because I think the ones that come from F puzzles aren't actually get their sum value, etc. And then it does the solution check. So if the puzzle has a solution. So I think even puzzles, I'm trying to think, which are the puzzles where the solution, and what do you mean by the function working, right? Does it mean it's not trying the function, or does it mean it tries the function, gets the wrong result? Okay. Let's before I break my brain even more, let's have a quick look if we can add a setting for this. So what would the setting be? I guess it's yes, but I'm not sure what that means, right? Because I think it might work for puzzles where the check button doesn't work, and it might still work for those puzzles. Because the check button doesn't do the same kind of check, right? Let me find where the check button kicks in, right? Check. That's not super useful. Because the is completed check is a particular kind of check. It's not the same check that you get when you're just pressing the button. So if I look at handle button, so create search and play class, new class, puzzles, delete button, do press to chain true. Is that not even here? Okay, so this will be under controls, rules, info, restart, auxiliary buttons, check, framework app, check. Okay, framework app, check. I want to reorganize this code. There we go. So it calls this. So what does this does is basically the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's probably the same thing. I think it does a check on these three features. Except it obviously ignores the conflict checking setting. Okay, all right. We need a setting for the blurring on, no, for the dialog on start. So basically, do you want a setting, or do we want to make a setting where you can disable this, right? So for example, let's just call it hide solved puzzles on start. And this project as well. So if I do this, yeah. I hate long setting names. Hide solved. Hide already solved. It's a bit obscure, I think. What if I add a title? I mean, again, this won't work. This won't help mobile users. Hide solved puzzles when opened, when loading. Hides already solved puzzles when loading. Does this do something? And then this should default to on. Or, okay, if I default this to on, default. So if I do this hide soft true, so now this should be true. And find overlay blur. And we want to check. How do we check for settings? I guess that's not it. Nope. One of these I'm using like that. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So puzzles where the check function isn't correct. Yeah, if you have an example, I'd love having a list of things that I can check these sorts of things against. And what's the setting? Hide solved. Settings hide solved. Find overlay blur. All right, so I'm hoping that all of the other options currently work. I know, but is that right? That's probably wrong too. I'm bad at these things. But you literally have you know, I don't have a list of puzzles handy like you do. If you ask me right now, I can probably browse where I go, those puzzles, none of them have that problem, right? I guess there's that SudokuPad, but then I have to actually go to CTC's channel. Sudoku. Oh, that's not good. It's not Kung Fu. Yeah, you see, I can't even search for that. All right, maybe it's this one. Then I have to go here, then I have to get the ID. And then I have to hope I've actually solved it. Yeah, you see, I didn't actually solve that in here. So, yeah, so that's kind of the problem. Now I can't solve it now, you know what I mean? It's gonna take me half an hour just to get there. So let's see. What we got? 80. Where's the video ID? I think I can just do. Ah, wait, I have it as a test case probably. 2T. Is this one 2TGI? I don't know if this works right now. Did I break it in the meantime? Maybe it'll still work. Okay, is that the correct solution? And there is a way of loading a solution. Let's see, puzzle. Where is there a blank line here? Loading board cells. Loading. State, serialize, deserialize, load. Rules, progress, and safe power. App. Init. There should be a function I can just load in a classic solution. Go load replay. Trying to remember what function do I usually use. Create new puzzles. Open new classic attached. The problem is if I just chunk it in. The odds are though, yeah, okay, I'll have to type in this. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna. But that's not a CTC link, so that doesn't. Does it have a CTC link? Here we go. Okay. All right. All right. So anybody who's watching doesn't want spoilers, I'll look away now because I'm going to type out the solution. 3, 8. Oh, well, this won't work because, yeah, okay, so this one definitely won't work because it'll only look at givens. And, yeah, this one won't work because it like the Schrödinger cells don't have any givens in them, right? So that won't work for sure. Because it, yeah, like it won't see it as a completed puzzle. Let's go back to this one. Where did my scanner just popped out a solution, didn't it? Where's my scanner? Yeah. Just gonna 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, boom. All right. So if I put in 1, yeah, I don't think because it will see this as a wrong solution. But what we can then do is we can test if a provided solution will fix that. Schrödinger cells is like a different beast, like multiple. I guess the real solution for that is to have multi-digits. So then you put in a 12 instead of a 1 to center marks. I don't think adding center marks as a valid part of a solved cell is actually great. I think I'd rather make it accept longer text. The puzzle, and you wanted examples. Well, it's not technically completed by the definition of completed, i.e. it doesn't have filled in, all the cells aren't filled. Like it's abusing pencil marks as actual values in the thing, in the solution, which jeez, why am I'm losing track. So I think I'm okay with that not being recognized, right? I'm thinking more of something like this, where it's so hard to talk and type in a list of numbers from a sea of numbers. 716, 736, 736. I wish I had a mode where like if I type in the digit, it immediately goes on to the next cell. 6, 4, 7, 6, 4, 7, 6. And now we are 2, 5, 5, 7, 7, 2, 9, 9, 9, and penultimate. There's like a hair on my keyboard. Pretty dog hair. All right, 7, 7, 8, and 5, 5, 2, 2, 8, 2, 998. So this one doesn't come through. Yeah, so this obviously doesn't come through because it's recognizing conflicts, right? Now let's just make sure. Nope. Let's just make sure it saves this state, right? So if I refresh this page, okay. So this doesn't recognize it as solved. It doesn't show the conflicts on startup. I think that was a deliberate choice. I'm pretty sure that used to be one way or the other. Now, 3TB. Okay, so let's have a look at 3TB. Let's just go into the API, which is really just a list of folders, right? 3TB. And open this puzzle. And I don't remember how the solution is encoded. Well, it's encoded as a cage. So let's just do this quickly. Wait, what? Ah, no, because it's nested string symbols, right? Nested quoting. Nope. Unzip. Puzzle zipper.unzip. That should do the trick. I just did this the other day. I mean, no, it should be unzip. Unzip puzzle. Unzip quotes. Why is it struggling with this one? There's a backtick quote, so that should make the whole thing work. Unexpected token THA's position. Choose and force unzip puzzle as unzip 89, 88. Why is this not working? It gets to this point, and then position 1, 3, something, something. 1, 3. 1, 3, something, 1, 3, 6, 3. I should have just typed in the whole thing. 1, 3, 6, 3. Stop. Ah. Seriously? Sudoku. Yeah, it's the double backslash D and bloody coding. All right. All right. So this is our JSON, our JavaScript, whatever. Where are the cages? Do we have cages? Probably not. Find rules. Yeah, yes, we do have a cage. Okay. So let's value 0. Ah, I love when they put in these magic hidden cages. Value solution. Da da ding da da boom. Put this in here. Solution this. Right. And now puzzle tools.zip. Zippity doo die. No. Not puzzle tools.zip. Puzzle zipper.zip. I'm terrible at naming things. Alright. Now, let's see how that compares to the actual data, which I hopefully kept open somewhere. Okay. Do I have any multi-quoting shenanigans going on? No, that's the wrong file. Why am I putting it in 3? No, it is the right file. Why is this so different now? these should be exactly the same except for that the solution. Ah, wait, that it could be actually the case, actually. There is going to be a double escape thing. Is this actually broken? No, it's not. No, no. Okay. So it should literally be different by 81 characters. Yeah, there's the solution. And it has to be there as part of the cages, right? So this should be exactly 81 characters longer. No, well, a little bit more. So this is where we at? Column 292, and this is 3018. Yeah. Okay, so that looks correct. So now if I do this, so this still doesn't work. Yeah. That's why I'm doing this, to be honest, just to, you know, make sure the solution thing is working, and it doesn't look like it is. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Here we go. Meta tags. Meta rules, meta solution. So we have solution. Come on. Don't do me this way. Where's the solution being added? Check solution, solution current puzzle. Check solution. So this should happen here. Did I type in the solution badly? Maybe. Use an instruction. All I want to point out hiding in progress puzzles would cover this case. Hiding in progress puzzles. But why would you want to hide in progress puzzles? And I guess, you know, spoiling your puzzle that you've already solved is not like the worst thing in the world that could ever happen, I think. It's not like, you know what I mean? Expected. Found errors. Check solution. Error in cage, uniqueness cage. Check wait, what? Unique sum. Oh, because it fails the other checks. Well, that's kind of silly. If we have a solution feature, okay, that's a major issue. Basically, if we're doing a solution check, so basically we should do the solutions check last. And we should just wipe the errors clean. So if I do this, see, this is an actual bug that we can maybe fix. It's not perfect because if you do the solutions check earlier, it will get over it. But this will now work. And I think that's quite reasonable. But no, because if you're in progress, you haven't solved it, so you don't spoiling yourself by showing yourself the solution to the puzzle. You're literally in progress of solving it. There's no reason to look at an in progress puzzle than to continue playing the in progress puzzle. And if you're gonna wipe it anyways, then just wipe it, right, and play it again. It's like, I don't know. It's like burning a notebook every time you want to continue taking notes, just because you haven't finished your notes in one sitting. That doesn't make sense. But if you finished a book, you can close the notebook, put it away, and get a new notebook and start over. Writing a new story, I guess. I think that's kind of the definition of solving a puzzle. You're spoiling your second step with the first step you've made. Don't you like, I don't know. If I have a puzzle in progress, I literally want to see my progress to continue the puzzle. You're not blindfolding yourself to continue a puzzle. But then that's not really my fault, right? That's like, hey, if the puzzle is incomplete, doesn't have a solution set, etc., you know? And again, those are so few that it's already a marginal feature that, first of all, very few people reopen, like, it's probably less than 1% of people who open a puzzle that they have solved already, right? Because there's not, the only reason that happens is literally, like the main reason that happens is by mistake, in which case you don't really care about, you know, very few people replay puzzles. So we're already at a fraction of a percent, right? Of those people, only a small, maybe 10% even care, right? And of the people that care, of all the puzzles there are, you know, probably less than 1% aren't caught by the checker, right? And of those puzzles, you know, especially going forward in the future, hopefully more people will use the solutions feature, especially for these weird kind of constructions, right? And then something like the Schrödinger cells, it's such a rare, you know, it's like, it's already less than 0.1% of all the puzzles in the database. Less than that, 0.01%, right? So now we're catering to 0.0001% of, you know, of the 10,000 users or 3,000 users or something, right? That's, again, streamers I think are a special case, and I think in the future, especially if the Patreon kicks off, I think I want to very specifically create more like a specific tool for streamers, right? Kind of like SudokuPad, but maybe based on the web app with layouts, with like a streamer mode, right? And better tooling for streamers, especially for this sort of thing. Like streamers, for example, would want... I think for streamers, there's a lot of things that are useful that wouldn't be useful to regular solvers. For example, streamers frequently want to open the same puzzle at different solve states. So having a singular replay list per puzzle ID, I don't think suits streamers very well, right? Because a streamer might want to open the same puzzle to illustrate the technique without losing their state. And right now they're opening multiple tabs and they're hoping not to overwrite the state, which is like really risky. So for streamers, I definitely would want to have modes where they can give, where they can isolate tabs, right? Or deliberately have multiple saves, like save states, replay save states, stuff like that, you know. A better replay mode. These are all tools that I can't justify to build for the users because they're so, you know, I'd be spending hours and hours and hours for something that almost nobody will ever use, where many people would rather want to have a better dark mode. But for streamers, you know, there might be much fewer of you guys, but the value you provide is obviously high, right? Because every streamer, you know, popularizes the genre, right? The more streamers and YouTubers we have, the more people find it accessible to use these puzzles. Yeah, this was like literally just regular players spoiling the puzzle. What I'm saying is the use cases we're now talking about are so rare that a normal user will never encounter it, right? And right, this particular thing was an actual bug, right? The solutions check should override the other checks. If you're providing a solution, it shouldn't still fail because it has duplicate cells. So I'm actually glad we sorted that out. So let me just clean that up, though. So we have a couple of things mixed together now, which okay. So, okay, I don't want to actually change that then. That was already here. So let's just do a quick code review. So we added the overlay blur. We've fixed that the solutions checker would remove other errors that have been placed previously. That's empty line. Screw it, I'm gonna remove that. We added hide solved as a setting. We are closing the dialog here so we can do the restart check from that dialog. We added a completely new dialog, which is this one. Okay, and that's what we did here. For the blur styling, we're currently using CSS blur, not SVG blur. And I think that's okay for this use case. I'll have to check that on SudokuPad and mobile device and stuff. Good point. Good point. Good point. Nice catch. I think at this point, we know we have a solution. And we're expecting to fail on that solution. You know, like there shouldn't be such a thing as a partial solution check. So let's test it with this one, and then let me keep a copy of this just in case. And get rid of that. So now here it should do that. Yeah. All right. And we probably want to check that here as well. So this one still works as well. Okay. So we added a setting. Oh yeah, we haven't tested the setting at all, right? So if I change the setting, hide already solved. Yeah, so now it doesn't hide it. It still shows the dialog. Maybe we should disable this dialog as well then. Yeah, I just did it. I think this dialog shouldn't come up at all when you have that setting. The problem is, I think one of the things people were saying is that they didn't realize they were paused. I mean, the other option is to literally just pop up this dialog. Hey guys. Basically, that's kind of what I did, was instead of this dialog, I popped up the other dialog. But then the question is, should it be paused or not? Ugh. Because it's exactly the sort of setting that somebody like Simon would have off. Because on his streams, he basically doesn't like interference. Like the reason he doesn't have conflict checking on and auto checking on close. I think Mark has it on. Personally, I have it on. I like it. Let me have a quick look. If I do this here, go to the bottom. So if hide solved and boom. What I really need is, I think I need a second kind of notification that doesn't hide the screen. So like a, pill or whatever they call it that pops in from the bottom. So instead of the dialog, it would do the same thing, but it won't cover the screen. And then a streamer can actually have that just off screen. I think what they did usually then is to realize, maybe they clicked a link or pressed something, then they either realized, oh, I've solved this already, or they then pasted the URL or clicked the link or did the thing that they actually wanted to do. Like a lot of the time, I think it's not because they specifically aim to go to that puzzle. Like it happens to me a lot. For example, I have my little bookmarklet. I go here, right? I open my bookmarklet, I press the button, and okay, I haven't played this puzzle before, right? But if I go back a couple, or sometimes, like, I don't know if it's a new puzzle yet, Like now it loaded in a new tweet, and I press the button, it's a different puzzle. But it'll show me that I've played this already. Like, a lot of the time, I don't actually care. It's not about restarting the puzzle or not. It's simply, I didn't even know which URL I was going to because I was pressing a link, right? Now, it is paused at this stage, which I think makes sense. It's already solved, so at this point, I think, let's check. If I restart this, does it unpause? Yes. So at least it unpauses when you restart. So I think that's fair enough then. What it doesn't do is, I don't think if I restart, no. If I do this, yeah, it doesn't unpause, but that's, I think, also fair. No, they can still, yeah. From here, they would then just restart if they wanted to restart, right? If that's a thing they wanted to do. I mean, for me, obviously, like my use case is super different because a lot of the time I'll want to test a puzzle, so I want to replay a puzzle very specifically, you know. So, you know, it's the sort of thing I can't even rely on my own experience there. But I think this will do the trick. I think I want to push this. And I think the way the styling works for the blur also makes sense. So let's just toggle this back, reload. So I think it makes sense to have the grid lines themselves not blurred, but to blur everything else, including the background layer. So kind of like out of board features and stuff like that. Okay, let's just tidy this up. And what we want to do here is run bump. Now, I think in theory I have other bumps, not just for the patch version. But I don't think they work properly. Bump minor. What happens if I bump minor? Does this work correctly? Yeah, it doesn't reset the patch version, so I need to fix my bump minor. You know what? I'm actually gonna put that on my to-do list. So fix bump minor to reset patch version. I think that's something that's been bugging me for a while. Yeah, because we kind of want this. And then here, we want this. Oh, and we don't want to forget, whoops. We don't want to forget. To be honest, there were probably a lot of other contributions that you've made in the meantime that I haven't put in here. If there's anything you recall specifically, I'm happy to update it and add it back in. So that would be 140.0. Fix. Well, let's start with the main one. What was it? What do we call it? Hide. Unspoiled solved puzzles and fix solution check bug. And my dog just came home and he's expecting attention. And my girlfriend too, probably. So that'll be the end of the stream. I think that's it. Anything else that I should cover right away? There's the desire to have a letter input mode and also the ability to customize colors, have more colors. Yeah, those. So what basically my plan is this weekend, I want to start working on a cosmetic editor, at least get started, mostly so I can start brainstorming, you know, how does it have to, like, you know, I want to open source the code to read and write the CTC format. I want to publish certain things like, hey, how do we do fractional RC values? You know, what's a good generic way as a human readable format, as an internal format, probably just 2 element arrays of fractional numbers. What serializes well, like little bits and pieces like that I want to start putting together, putting onto Sudoku tools as shareable stuff. So hopefully we don't end up building, like once Sudoku Studio comes about, we can integrate these texts, or at least, you know, I'm happy to kind of change my stuff to fit Sudoku Studio stuff as well, whichever one works best, right? And modularize my engine a little bit. So there's things of the engine I probably want to pull out, you know, like the replay data and stuff like that. So I can open source those pieces for interoperability and so on. Yeah, so the plan right now is I have this little tech demo by Mark, which I think still works, right? So what he did with this, he replaced the 0 button, which recently saw a little bit of use, so I have to be a bit careful, right? But he basically changed it to a number you know, so I can just type in numbers as usual. But then if I press 0, the 0 still works as a number. But if I press the button, it now becomes a toggle, right? And it gives you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, right? Still gives you a 0, interestingly enough. And I believe that also works for the marks, right? So I was thinking to do something similar with the colors as well. So in the colors, yeah. So basically that this would toggle 2 different palettes, where the second palette is just a custom palette. Yeah. I mean, we do have space for a third button here. The delete button doesn't necessarily have to be triple size, right? So we could have the 0 button here, then the toggle button, and then the delete button. And I think as a quick intermediary step, having just digits... Wait a second. Yeah. Having... man, it looks weird. For the numbers, it works fine to have the 1 at the bottom, but for the letters, it looks weird. So probably that makes more sense, yeah. Because, like, one thing I haven't considered with the colors initially when I put these together, and they were obviously based on the original CTC editor, is that it makes sense the colors to have the map to the digits. So a lot of the time, you want 9 colors that match the 9 digits, right? So it would be nice to have 9 colors that are contrasting to each other, not like this, where like the most, you know, blue and orange are like 6 and 9, right? It would be nice if you starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can just use the 9 colors to map to 9 digits. But I'm also wary about changing the colors as they are now, especially since they match, I think, the background colors or something. I don't know. There might be like a classic CTC palette switch or something like that. But I think the intermediary step would be to have a second palette that you can toggle. I mean, in the future, that button might cycle through multiple palettes, right? Who knows? But at least, A, people can specify their own palette to replace the existing and just use that instead, right? And B, people could also make, you know, 9 times 2, 18 colors is a continuous set of colors if they want to, right? The other thing I wanted to always do in the future is to have the puzzle themselves provide a palette, and that could go into this secondary palette. Maybe in the future even symbols. Maybe you make a puzzle that's based on Unicode characters, things like that. Yeah, no, but right now, obviously, you're not gonna write out words if you only have 9 letters. So these letters really just fulfill the idea of a placeholder. The nice thing here is that I don't need to use obviously you're gonna be typing in these letters with 1 through whatever, not with A through whatever. And it works just the same on touch devices. So for like full 26 letter support, i.e. you want to set a puzzle, let's say like Wordle, right? Like you want to create a Wordle hybrid Sudoku thing. That would have to be a different system. Because you'd probably want to summon up the soft keyboard on a mobile device, that kind of thing. And it might be a bit dodgy because it takes up space on the screen, right? So what are you going to do, right? It might be a completely separate tool with a keyboard sorted somehow. To be honest, I for a long time now, I've been thinking I need to redo the layouting, because on my mobile device right now, especially with the pen tool visible, things get too small, and the pen tool is very hard to use. And there's quite a bit of space I could use, you know. So I want to have a maximize mode where the top bar disappears and you just have floating icons for the menu items, and the puzzle kind of maximizes to use as much space as possible, stuff like that, you know. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm quite happy with making that fix, even though I didn't actually get started with the work I wanted to get started. But this is exactly what I would like to discuss. This exact. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to read. I spent already so much time just bouncing around all the different channels, and I'm not even catching up on all the streamer channels. There's just so much. Are there like minutes? So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think part of the reason why I want to do these streams and why I want to start open sourcing small things is kind of as a kind of communication as well, to say, hey, you know, like we had this discussion about RC values, and like, hey, why not just make it a separate thing, create a library for managing RC values, you know, or render. Like I don't know if I want to just open source my full SVG stack, but maybe parts of it. I don't know. Maybe I will. There's a worry that somebody will just make a competing app and we'll have a team and we'll have more resources and will just wipe me off the app stores and then I just don't have anything. So there's that, you know, there's like, it's less about maliciousness. It's more like that I don't have a lot of resources, so I struggle. So I you know, yeah, I read something about that. This is like, if I click on this and it pops up on my screen, that's not really a problem, right? Like, it's not a secret or anything. Yeah. I mean, the problem with using hotkeys is always mobile support, right? Like, you guys probably don't worry about mobile support as much, while for me, that's kind of one of the main reasons people use the app. So I kind of want to be very conscientious of that. Yeah, I've always tried to avoid, like, people ask me for a million hotkeys, and at the same time, I wanted to not use hotkeys as much because I wanted to keep those keys free for letter entry and later. Yeah, so I'll take a look through it. I don't know. Yeah, like, I hope you guys don't mind if I adopt something. I think the more of our systems work similar, the better. Yeah, probably. Like, I'll have to see if I do this. Like, I think right now there's no reason. Yeah. So for example, right, I just typed A to put it in, but WASD is actually a way of navigating the board, right? So then, do I want to disable that in letter mode? Do I want to create another setting? You know, have a million settings for every little thing, right? So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want it. Like, and ZXV, the bottom row, is for changing tools. If you're in letter mode, do I want to not have that, right? So it's a bit of a, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have like a regular meeting about these things or if it's just somebody writes something up, but it would be great to have like a Sudoku tool creators summit like every 6 months or something. And kind of like, maybe if there's something I can do that you guys can use, then, and there's something you guys could do that I could use, then maybe we should work on different things and progress faster, you know? Yeah, I'll look through this in detail. I think that's definitely something I need to work on. I think right now the cosmetic editor is something I want to do, because that's sort of my chance to have my voice heard on certain ideas, and especially on internal formats. And right now there seems to be like this weird, like, we don't want to put too much in FPuzzles because of Sudoku Studio coming up. But then when Sudoku Studio comes up, what happens actually? Do we expect lots of people to migrate? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that aren't in the Discord community. Yeah. Let's do that sometime, man. Maybe even on a stream if you don't mind. I don't know. Might be fun. I gotta go now. Was a good stream. Thanks a lot for stopping in. I know it's probably crazy late for you now. And I'll take a look at this, and going forward, yeah. I think these are the big ones, like letter support, better colors, an editor, like a cosmetic editor. And then for me, the big thing is, I think I want to have the feeds. I want to have channels in SudokuPad and all that. So to give more exposure to creators. So that's another thing I'm working on. So much to do, so little time. All right, thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate it. That's it. Take care, everybody. See you in the next stream. Have a good one. Bye-bye.